Hey guys, and happy Friday. This week's subscriptions were super juicy and had some cool sort of goth elements in there too. So I'm gonna take this week's bucket and I'm gonna design it centerpiece style, like a goth garden party, in this low Fable compote from Accent Decor. And I'm gonna use chicken wire mechanics, but I'm also gonna use tape so that it holds all my flowers in place because this is a very shallow bowl. So I'm gonna start by taking the chicken wire and rolling it over like normal, and then I'm going to take it and roll it like a burrito. Oops, here, let me get this going the right way. Pull it out a little first. Uncut end to uncut end, like so. And then I'm gonna give it a roll. Oops, stab myself with it in the process. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna get this chicken wire down in there, and I have to really get all the way in. I wanna make sure there isn't like a big chunk where it's like overlapping a bunch. Just want like lots of back and forth. That's pretty good. Then I'm gonna take my tape. I'm just gonna use clear tape, and I'm gonna tape a grid on it. So normally you would use maybe like a couple of pieces of tape to go across, just to hold the chicken wire down in place. But this time I'm gonna do a little bit more aggressive of a grid, because I'm gonna use the tape also to help hold the flowers in place as well. When you're designing with a bowl like this where it's really wide and and not very deep, the stems are gonna wanna go all over the place, and you'll find that you can't really stick them in low enough that they hold their position nicely. So the more you can have underneath, the better. That's why you see a lot of people will use like floral foam or similar when they're crafting a centerpiece like this in a bowl like this. But we try to avoid that as much as possible. So this has turned out well for us in the past with the taped grid and the chicken wire underneath. If you have any like frogs, you know, like the pin frogs, they work really good too if you put them underneath your chicken wire. If you have less coverage in your bowl and you want something with more limited elements, maybe something a little bit more like the Gabbana style, that's going to be something where you probably want to use a pin frog underneath your chicken wire mechanics, so that you don't have to put all this stuff on top and cover it. All right, I'm gonna go all the way around. You'll notice there's no water in my container right now because when you get the container wet, it tends to not want to have the tape stick. So I like to do the tape first, and then I put the water in. I put that down like so. It's my watering can. Put the water in there. There we go. Oops. Try to hit between the tape so that it doesn't spray all over everything. Just spill out the sides. Oh my gosh, it's taking forever. All right, we can get that like maybe a little under an inch from the top. So we're all taped up and ready to go. You have like some greenery and pieces that are gonna hang over, so it'll cover this tape on the outside. But if you're super picky about it, like I kind of am actually, you can always go through and pull up the bottom pieces and turn them up so that you don't see these little tape lines coming down. The sky is the limit for being picky. Okay, so then this going on here. I'm gonna start my bucket with some white hydrangea. They're just plain old white hydrangea, but they're so fluffy and soft this week, so we decided to throw a couple of them in. Now, when you're working with something like this, you'll notice a lot of times when we take these leaves off, we've got all of these lateral stems coming off from our main stem. So sometimes we'll like squish it all together like this, and we'll cram the whole thing down into a spot to cover. Like sometimes I'll do that with when I just have the chicken wire in a pot and just kind of put it in as one thing and then let it sort of spread out a little bit to cover the space. And we have two in our container or in our bucket today. But what I'm gonna do today is, because these laterals are so long, I'm just gonna like separate them off and do like two laterals. I'm just gonna stuff them down in here. I'm gonna try to get a little bit more coverage with this so that I can get a couple more placements than I normally would if I just stuck the two in there. So that's getting two placements out of that hydrangea. Now this one's a little bit small, so this guy might just have to be a single one. Kind of get the idea here. You just wanna, well, you know what? I can probably get this middle guy off. Tuck these guys in like so. So I'm gonna stick this guy here. All right, so we got some pretty good coverage going on there. All right, extra tape. And then we have these awesome hosta leaves. So these are great, but you just want to be careful with them because their stems will break and bend, and if you bend the leaf back, it'll crack it. So just be really careful with it. And I like to use them kind of grouped together. Now, because their stems are so soft, you really want to be gentle pushing them into your container because you're going to hit all of those back and forth pieces of the chicken wire underneath. So very gently push it in there. When you meet resistance, you're going to want to come out of the chicken wire and then try to find another spot. You really don't want to push past it, or you could find that you will break your leaf, and we do not want that to happen. Okay, so kill this again. Go ahead and tuck this in this way. I'm doing it very even all the way around, but I think it looks really pretty sometimes too to put like a grouping together, you know? So I'm doing it facing me, and then I'll turn it towards the camera. Tuck one in. So then you kind of have everything kind of going up to one side. Gives a little bit of movement in the arrangement. It's kind of cool too. So do whichever way you kind of like it. And then we have these really pretty lamb's ear blooms. Brings a really cool gray color. One of my coworkers today said that it reminded him of caterpillars. It does kind of have a weird feeling. So we have these guys tucked into our arrangement. Trying to use the greens and the blooms. I'm gonna put these all in on this side to sort of counteract my greens off to this side. There are about 5 or 6 pieces in there. Some of them were branched, so I might get a couple more. Okay, because I don't like everything to always be off onto one side. I'm gonna take one and sink it in with the hosta leaves over here. We're gonna use it kind of down deeper in there. So you see it all the way around, but it's really mostly on one side. Then we got a couple of really lovely peonies. Perfect marshmallow stage. So I'm gonna give them a little fluff. You don't have to get too much more crazy than that because it will continue to open in your arrangement. You wanna make sure that you're cutting all of the little knobs off of your stems so that it doesn't get stuck on your tape or get stuck on your chicken wire and rip the whole thing out. I'm kind of working with this grouping. I think I might put him more in the middle here. Oops, oh, I lost a leaf on my, guys, pull that up. See, oh, and it stayed, good, I was gonna say. And then we have another one here. A little bit of a fluff. I think these are just the Sarah Bernhardt variety. It's very ice creamy kind of color. I think it's like National Ice Cream Day coming up soon, actually, this weekend. There we go, get one there, get one there. Not liking this guy here, I'm gonna cut him a little shorter. Again, it's like, you kind of have to trick yourself because you're thinking it's going all the way down to the bottom, but you're really only going into the bottom of this bowl. So cut it maybe a little bit shorter than you're thinking, which is okay. But I always like to leave it long at the beginning because you can always take more stem off. You cannot put it back on once you cut it too short. So got this there. Then we have some of these lovely roseberry roses. I'll give it a little bit of a blow. Give it a little bit of a roll. I love these for their color, mostly. And they have a pretty bloom, also. And this one's gonna come to the front here. There we are. There should be 5 of these in your bucket. Go ahead and give this guy a roll too. Put one there. I'm gonna spread these guys out a little bit more. Now, if any of the leaves are on your stem higher and they're pretty and you want to leave them on, you can. Just want to make sure that none of the leaves are going underneath the hydrangea and going down into the water, because then that happens, it's going to get mashed in there, and then when that happens, it creates more bacteria growth and it overall impacts the longevity of the flowers in a negative way. So we do not want that. In, do one over here, there we go. And you'll find with the chicken wire and with the tape, it's pretty easy to get the stuff to stay in place. Oops, I lost Lost one more. Spun those petals right off. There we go. Then we have some hot pink Myra roses. These just remind me of strawberries. I love them. They're so ruffly and so pretty. These actually have some really pretty greens on them too, so I'm just gonna leave a little bit of that on to add into the arrangement. Over here. There we go. Tuck it under. Put it out so you can see it. This guy here. And then I'm gonna do one to the back side also. Again, I don't want to lose any petals here, so I'm not going to go too crazy with it. There we go. All right, and I found one more of these guys in here. Yay! I'm going to put this last little lammy guy over here. I want to make sure they're interesting looking. This one looks kind of boring to me, so I'm going to cut this one short. There we go. There we go. And then I cut this little bottom guy off, so I'm going to use him over here. And got this one here. It's very interesting. Tuck that in like so. Just get a little bit of lift coming on. And then what I like too is so we also have these parrot tulips in the bucket. Tulips are almost on their way out for the season. We had these guys in the shop, so I like how they kind of mimic the color and the variation on the hosta leaves. So I'm gonna have them coming out on the opposite side also, and balance out my my hosta leaves on the other side. And I like to put them in at a slightly more vertical angle because they want to kind of grow out. So kind of start them out up and then they'll head over as they grow in your arrangement. Here, that'll continue to open. I got one more here. This one, maybe I'll have it shaped down slightly just to get that interesting. Ooh, squeaky from the tape. There we go. Be careful with those stems also. Okay, and then that's why we have these really cool snapdragons that came in. They're like a nice in-betweeny burgundy-ish, fuchsia-ish color. I think they just call them purple, although I do not consider this purple. I just want to get a little bit of height and movement with these guys. So again, I'm envisioning this as a centerpiece. So I want it to have sort of like a low center and then a sprawl to it, like a little bit of a spill. So that's how I'm going to use these snapdragons, sort of out and up, not just up. But it's cool because it gives it some really pretty movement and a little bit of height. And it brings that garden look into it. It's really nice. So I'm gonna put this guy in here. If you're hitting a spot and it's not going where you want, just replace the other pieces around it. There's one there. And these. I'm getting to the point where I might not even want to use another one of them. That one's super long. I can do the short one here. There we go. And between the red guys, maybe I will. I hate there's 4 of these, so I'm gonna have to mush this around a little bit so I can get the last one in here on this side. Oops, and sink it in with the others. Get that kind of outlook. Those tips off, tuck them in, let them go different directions. They don't all look like they're going the same way. Yes. Click right there. Yep. Have these black callas. So pretty. I mean, they're like leather. They're gorgeous. We have 3 of those in the bucket, so I'm going to go ahead and put those in. So you can see them coming out of the arrangement slightly. Here. Ooh, sweet. Don't want to block any of the good stuff, so let me get that forward. Oh. Callas too, you got to be careful with the stems because they're very squishy. So when they hit that chicken wire, they want to split. So I want to see a little bit of the green stem. This guy seems, oh, see, I split it. Here, let me trim that a little bit shorter. I'm going to tuck this one in. And then I'll have the other ones sticking out a little bit. There we go. it's like the idea going through it is just to make sure you have plenty of placements and different heights. So you see some of your color down low in the arrangement, you see some of the color coming up out of the arrangement. Make sure you're not burying any of your peonies, get those out there. And then last but not least, we have these beautiful anemone. They are lavender. Some of them have dark eyes, some of them have a light eye, but they are all so stinking pretty, and they just kind of float. They're like little butterflies. So I'm gonna add these guys in. Again, with these stems, they're super soft, so we want to be very careful adding them to our arrangement, because you know they're gonna hit the chicken wire and end up fraying. Oops, trying to get a clean cut on here. Oops. I just love the way, like, when I turn this around, look. Like the color in the center of this anemone and the color from the calla just look so good together. Absolutely love them. Okay, now that I'm getting in here, I'm seeing that I have a little bit of a hole to the front, so I'm going to tuck this peony in here. There we go. Sorry, 1, 2, looking at me. Got my anemone here, anemone here. Yeah. Cool. And then this guy was kind of, oh, this is the one that after I said not to push them in, I did, and ended up messing up the stem. I'm gonna tuck this guy in a little bit now, so I have something in that middle space. Again, it's like kind of sink and spill. And, oh, so pretty. This guy. Well, I don't have any lavender back here. Maybe I need to put something in this area. So it's kind of shaped that way. And this one, so pretty. It's just like, it's almost white, which is that little bit of color. Ugh, and look at the back of the stem, or the back of the bloom too. It's the prettiest color. This guy is going right in front. Well, not really the front, but right up here with my peony. Actually, let me trade. This guy's gonna go here. Sometimes when you see the shape of the stem, it's like, oh wait, no, okay, never mind. This needs to move and go a different place. And that is fine. That's what we do. That is the whole point of the work, the design. Keep adjusting, get it just how you want it. I gotta tell you though, working with a Lazy Susan, so helpful. If you have one in your house, definitely use it when you're doing your designs. It really makes a difference. Adjust this down here. I got some lamb's ear. Put this guy in here. Calla. Oh, so pretty. Okay. And this is one where I would go out to my yard and add a little bit of the random stuff from the yard in, because it just has that pretty look. Like right now I've got some really pretty hellebores. Their foliage is really nice right now, and they are all gone to seed, so they all have their the middles, like the middle pods have all like opened up, and they're so cool looking. I love them, so I use them all the time. And of course they're like pretty much dry, so they barely even need any water, but they really do look so pretty in arrangements. So if you have any of those outside, you know, they're done blooming, but they're still so pretty, so you should not forget them. Maybe bring them in, use them in an arrangement, why not? There we go, and put this guy right in the front. Take this guy down, oh yeah. Okay. All right, just like that. And see, the cool thing too is like, if you were doing something on a long table rather than a round table, you can pull these guys out a little bit longer. You can pull this out a little bit longer and sort of extend it. And then using the same flowers, pretty much, you can just get a little bit more of an elongated design. And it works really nicely on like a rectangular table, an outdoor table, anything like that. So I'm gonna adjust these guys so everyone can be seen in our arrangement. Tuck that in, pull that up. All right. And a little bit up that way. All right, and there we have it. A cool arrangement, bringing the black from the container up in the black from the centers of our anemone and the black in our calvas. And we have these gorgeous like strawberry berry colors in here and like the ice cream color. It's just really, really nice to kind of kick off, even though it's very overcast, kick off this humid day, kick off some summer entertaining as well. So as we say every week, if you have any questions or comments that you would like to leave in the comments, please feel free to do so. I will certainly get back to you. If there's any flowers that you would like to see used or design style that you haven't seen, let us know. We aim to please. If you haven't checked out our subscription service or looked at our DIY offerings, definitely click through to our website and check that out. You can get these guys fully designed or as bunches or just as a bucket, and then I design it every week. You can follow along and do your own thing. We'd love to see the work that you produce as well. So if you do use them or have our bucket and you have pictures of the way that you're using them with your own vessels or in your own pots at home, certainly share them with us. But until next week, well, it's gonna rain again. It's like every Friday afternoon is rainy and overcast. I'm accidentally dressed like a cloud today also, a big rain cloud. But hopefully it doesn't get rained out this weekend, and I will see you again back here next week. In the meantime, happy designing.